Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. In this video we are going to be taking a first look at Angel, who is a limited edition S-Class character that is going to be part of the Gold Bars collection event in the museum. So straight up, I'm not sure who Angel is. If you do know who she is from the comics and stuff like that, please let me know. She could be a Scopely exclusive character where it's created by Scopely and it just brought to us by them, kind of like Sandy, that sort of thing. But do let me know if she is from the comics. In terms of her visuals, it looks like it must be quite the early days of the apocalypse because she is still in an evening dress. And well, she is ready for the apocalypse. She's got the shotgun, she's geared out for sure, but she hasn't changed her attire too much. She has got a jacket on, a backpack. She's got a tiara on the top of her backpack. A little Easter egg there. And we did have a tiara event just now, I believe. And also she's got the boots on, so she is definitely togged up and ready. I do like the tribal hair visuals. It does look kind of cool. But again, like I say, I don't know who Angel is as a character, so if she is from the comics, do let me know. We'll look at her stats, however. 3,903 attack, 4,215 defense, and 4,148 HP. This is with 30 veteran rings. She is a tough character and she is classified as a support role. Now her stats kind of reflect that, whereas support role characters generally have very balanced stats. 4k nearly in every single stat. She's a little bit more on the defensive side, and it probably plays into her character sort of situation in being more of a defensive character than an offensive one. We'll check her out though on her rush. It's called Traumatic Rejection. Interesting. 66 AP cost, deal 400% damage to a line of enemies. Up to 3 enemies get 3,000 trauma for 3 turns. So obviously only 2 parts to this rush, and I do like the fact that this is a fast rush, 66 AP, considering it isn't that extensive. It has to be faster to be this sort of underpowered, to be honest. 400% damage isn't great, especially considering she's a support character. You probably prefer, bleed, that sort of thing. I think she could have been good as a bleed character. Maybe doing 1,000 bleed damage for maybe 3 turns or something to a line of enemies would be pretty good. But I'm not going to complain too much. She isn't really that much of a damage dealer. The second part of her rush is, however, really, really good. 3,000 trauma is insane. Basically what happens with trauma is every time someone's got a trauma debuff on them, when they have something cleansed from them, let's say stun, impair, confuse, anything that gets cleansed, bleed, anything, including the trauma itself, that character will take 3,000 damage per cleanse. So if someone's got 3 debuffs on them, and they get full cleansed by someone like Mackenzie or Father Gabriel, they will take 9,000 damage. That is insane. That is actually insane. Now there is a weapon upgrade, a new one in the armory, that allows you to remove 1 debuff from yourself every turn from that character. I'm not sure if that actually makes trauma happen, but if it did, it would be 3,000 trauma damage just from that weapon. And that would be self-inflicted as well, so it wouldn't be great. This, of course, can be resisted because there is trauma resists. But overall, I don't think this rush is that powerful. It could have done with something just a little bit extra. I don't know what. I think with these sort of rushes, if they've not got a lot of power, something that to self would be absolutely fine. So like this character, just Angel maybe, gains 50% attack. So then her next rush is boosted. Even though her first rush isn't that powerful, her next rush would be better. Or like a self-heal for like 25% heal for 2 turns. Or something along these lines. There aren't that many healers in the game, and this is something that is a problem. So having a little bit of an extra heal just only for herself, no one else, wouldn't actually be too bad. Now her active skill is Exhaust, and this is where this character really is going to shine. It has an initial cooldown of 1, cooldown of 3, and number of uses 5. Up to 5 enemies get 500 exhaust for 3 turns. And because that initial cooldown is 1, if you take her on an attack team, you can do it before the defense has a turn. Now what happens with exhaust is, for every 10% of AP gained from unnatural sources, let's say the natural source is basic attacks. When you do a basic attack, you get 20 AP, you can get extra from your weapon and you can get extra from your leader, but that's completely natural, that's how the game is. But when it's active skills like Dr. Stevens, who gives 100% AP to self, or Arav, who gives 100% AP to self on his rush, those are unnatural. That's a buff, effectively. So any buff sources of AP gain, for every 10%, that character will take 500 damage. Now, if you're given 100% AP gain, that's 5,000 damage. So let's say you take Angel on your attack, you've got Priya as your leader, Angel is going to be there with her. Now then when you do the active, it targets all of the enemies because it's 5 enemies on a raid, there's 5 enemies. And if Dr. Stevens is on that defense team, he will take 500 exhaust. If he doesn't resist it, when he does his active on turn 1, he'll take 5k damage instantly as main damage. So even if it doesn't kill him, he cannot be healed back up. It has to be cleansed. That main damage has to be cleansed. So extremely strong active skill, and it's pretty much, in my opinion, there to combat the likes of Dr. Stevens and Arav, who just have huge AP gains. Now on a defense team, it isn't going to be as good because it can itself be dazed by someone like Priya. So when you attack a team with Angel on it, or as the leader, because she is a leader, you can take Priya, daze this, and then Arav will have no problems attacking against this. Neither will Dr. Stevens. Dr. Stevens will actually go first, so there's not much of a problem there. However, she does have a leader skill, and its all teammates get 40% defense, and all enemies get dazed for 1 turn. So as a leader on a defense team, she'll daze Doc Stevens for the first turn of your attack, and then on the first turn of the defense, Angel would do her active skill, and then Dr. Stevens wouldn't be able to do his active skill because he'd obviously kill himself. Unless you had over 5,000 HP, you could take the risk, do the active skill, get commanded. Dr. Stevens would most likely die, but at least he's got his active skill off. So it's going to be very, very hard to sort of negotiate this with Dr. Stevens purely. Now this character does seem to be almost 99% just brought into the game to combat Dr. Stevens. However, that leader skill isn't too bad otherwise. It is a rainbow leader, which is actually pretty nice. Especially in the early S-Class era, there are going to be people who have got James, maybe got Heng Yen, and maybe got Priya, you know, multiple characters, maybe got Pete as well if you've got a lot of S-Class characters, and not too many of these characters can work together in the same team. However, with this character, all of them can sit behind her because she is a rainbow lead. Any character, any trait can be on her team. So I think she might become quite a heavy free-to-play meta character if people pick her, obviously, from this box. I think this character is actually pretty decent, even without thinking about Dr. Stevens. Dr. Stevens has been an issue. Everyone's doing CRW. It's been worse and worse with all the events and stuff where he's been available. He's definitely one of the most overpowered 6-star characters to ever be released. When he was initially released, I was just face-palming, basically, because he was game-breaking. And most characters, when they're released, have a counter sort of in place already. Like if we look already at this week's release, it's Minerva, and already we have Priya sitting here ready, and most people are going, wow, I wouldn't pull for Minerva because Priya will just destroy her, but that's how the game's meant to be played, you know? Heng Yen also destroys Priya. It's the circle of life effectively, whereas there was nothing really in place for a very long time for Dr. Stevens. Then Days came out and it sort of did work, of course, but on attack, Dr. Stevens is still just ultimately so powerful. Now the other characters available in that crate are Krista and James, and you've got to make a choice between the 3 characters. Do I think Angel is good enough to take over Krista or James? Now, I would actually say yes, because she is a rainbow leader. She's going to be good forever. You're going to be able to put any team with her on a defense team. The leader skill isn't massive for characters, but 40% defense boost is actually pretty decent. There's going to be no AP gain there, no on defense, no on attack, which you do get from some other characters. But 40% defense is a good minimum for a defense team leader. She could also be used on attack, of course, in the leader spot, or a support character, as a side character. And I think most people, if you did take her as your pick in this crate, you would use her as a side character on an attack team just to counter those Dr. Stevens defense teams. Now going back to Dr. Stevens himself, I see a lot of people complaining about the fact that Dr. Stevens is actually being promoted right now, and to release a counter is not a good move by Scopely. What you've got to realize is, like I said before, other characters come into the game with counters already in place. Dr. Stevens has been rolling around this game for, 6+ months with no counters really. And this counter you can still resist. You can still resist Days, and you can still resist the exhaust. So it definitely isn't game over for Doc Stevens. It just takes a little bit more of a thought process and a better setup to get your Doc Stevens to work properly. So this is Angel, and she is one of the characters from that collection crate for gold bars. Do tell me which character you're planning on picking. Like I said in my other video, you can 100% be patient. You do not have to claim your character instantly. Once you claim the crate, it'll be sitting in your inventory. You can take your time. You can decide whether it's an issue for you, whether you want to go for Angel, whether Doc Stevens is an issue for you because it's a direct counter. You can decide whether you want to go for Angel, whether you want to go for James, or whether you want to go for Krista. I can tell you that I 100% am going to be going for Angel in one of my regions. However, in my other region, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be going for her. I'll take my time a little bit in that region, but I'll let you know. But I will 100%, like I said, be going for her in at least one of my regions. That is the end of my video though, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.